introduce you. You don't already know these two. Ed Waugh, he of the lovely socks and needle pushers. Ed is a playwright. Along with Trevor Wood, he's written some cracking plays, including Good to Firm, Maggie's End, Dirty Dusting, you might have seen. He's a busy lad, so we're really glad that he could make it today. And Ray Laidlaw, who many of you will know as drummer with Lindisfarne, of course. Ray is also a TV and event producer and music consultant. Have I ticked all your boxes there?
That'll do. That'll do.
But still musician, you still class yourself.
No, I'm a drummer, not a musician.
Time for all those drummer jokes, eh? Yeah. Seeing as we're in this fantastic new library, it seems very fitting to start with the library, really. I don't know if either of you have got memories of the old library as it was on this location.
Mm-hmm.
Remember coming here?
I remember when I didn't come very often. I used to go to the library in North Shields. Didn't come to this one much, but I remember when they were building it, because I was knocking about in the town when they were building it. So I used to go to an instrument shop along here called Barrett's Instrument Shop. I used to hang around in there and look at all the expensive drums and guitars and things and dream. And so I walked past it when they were building it. Never really came in much, but I always thought it was a bit of an ugly building, the old one.
Yeah,
this isn't. This is fantastic.
This is great. What about you, Ed? Were you a library dweller when you were a kid?
Well, I remember coming in here and working because I went to Sunderland Polytechnic for my sins, and it was too far to go. So I used to come in here and work in the late 70s. But my first memory was of Gosforth Library. Not the new one, but the one on the just along from the High Street, the Great North Road. And yeah, libraries have been really important, and it's a really important part of our heritage. But didn't Lindisfarne write this song called "All Fall Down"? And it was about the time of the late 60s when they were knocking the
T. Dan Smith.
Yeah, that was part of it. The old library was part of it, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
But you two, you're obviously North East lads and have drawn on the region very much when it comes to the kind of work that you do creatively. I suppose it's been a fantastic inspiration for you. Ray, what kind of upbringing did you have? I mean, paint a picture of the street where you lived, where you grew up. What kind of place was it? Right,
I lived in a sort of regular, a flat, a Tyneside flat with my mum and dad when I was little in North Shields. My granda had a butcher's shop, so we were quite posh compared to the rest of the people who lived around with it. Which we got fed at least. I went to the local Catholic junior school, and when I passed my 11 plus, that was when I came to Newcastle, because I went to St Cuthbert's in the West End, which was an interesting experience.
In what way?
Well, it was the wrong school for me. It was great to be in Newcastle. That was the best thing about it was every day from being 11 years old, I travelled up to town and learned all about the city. But the school was a nightmare. I mean, I came from a non-academic family, and basically if you didn't fit into what they expected you to do, they basically just took no notice of you. So I didn't do very well exams and things like that. In fact, I stopped going when I got to be about 14. I spent most of my time in the Paletta in Newcastle. But that was my life when I was little, and it was a normal, big, happy family, lots of cousins, lots of bustling about. But the city was where I was the most happy.
We'll hear a bit about your memories of the city a bit more in just a tick. But for you, Ed, what was your upbringing like? What are your memories of your street, your home?
Well, I mean, I think I've been really, really lucky because my upbringing, my parents are both still alive. They're nearly 80 now. And my brother was 5 years older than me, so I was quite a precocious kid in the sense that he took me along to things like poker games, horse racing, drinking dens. Well, I was about 10 or 11. But anyway, you learn quickly. But I was brought up on the Grange Estate in Gosforth. I don't know if anybody knows where it was, but for the first 15 years of my life I lived there. It's where Welbeck Road, not Welbeck Road, Wansbeck Road is, and where the metro station is. You can actually look down to the garden, and I was born in the house, and it was just a brilliant upbringing. We had fields everywhere. We played football all the time, and I was out with the lads on Saturday watching a Newcastle game, and we're all mates from that time, you know. So yeah, it was just a great upbringing, and it's that upbringing really that's coloured my outlook on life. But also, to be honest, listening to Ray and the Lindisfarne lads, I was just saying today, the first record I ever bought was Nicely Out of Tune, the album by Lindisfarne. And these guys were a massive, massive influence on myself, and I'm sure a lot of creative people in the region.
There's a memory booth downstairs. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but you'll get a chance to be part of that. I'll tell you a bit more about it later on. But I popped in before we started this, and you asked lots of questions about, you know, have you done it yet? It's great. So you asked questions about, you know, your first home and your favourite meal as a kid and all that kind of stuff. And it's amazing how something like for me, the paella with prawns, the Vesta meals from the 1970s. I'm transported back to a certain time in a kitchen in Sacriston where I grew up, and they were the height of sophistication for me. Things like favourite meals and childhood games, and just one word can take you back. A bit about food, because I'm sure you've got loads of stories about food on the road, Ray, which we talk a lot about. But when you were growing up, what's your memory of, you know, a favourite family meal? Or
I think it was
just a meal outside, like fish and chips.
No, I think it was Sunday dinner. Sunday dinner, because my dad used to do it, and we always listened to the radio, listening to, you know, like the Navy Lark and stuff like that, and we used to have really sophisticated drinks. We used to have lemonade with ice cream in it, which was dead posh.
Did anybody else have that?
Yeah, dead posh. And I remember going around to get the ice cream from the local shop, because we didn't have a fridge, and we used to go around and wrap it up in newspaper and, you know, to keep it cold enough till it was time to eat it and stuff like that. And we always had a bit more time because, you know, my dad worked all hours, my mum worked, and I was in and out, you know. Just with coming to school in Newcastle, I didn't get home till quite late, so I didn't actually have much social time with the family. Sunday dinner was, though. It was always a great time to sit around and natter and whatnot, and your gran and granddad would come and would chew the fat. So that was the best one for me.
Yeah. Ed?
Well, my dad worked for British Rail for 50 years, and so he used to work quite regularly on a Sunday. So we used to have Sunday dinners, but my dad wasn't there. But the big meal for us as a family was on a Saturday. And my dad used to help run Gosford and Cox Lodge Football Club in the Northern Combination, and we used to go there, and we used to come back in at about 5 o'clock. And to this day, I can't understand why we would have bread and butter first, and we'd have tinned fruit and evaporated milk first before you had your sandwiches. But that was always a family institution because my grandparents used to come round. It was canny bait, that was.
I can imagine that the pair of you, because you're both very creative, I can imagine, Ray, you know, music playing an important part of your life as a young lad, and maybe writing and reading for you, Ed. Did you play any of those games that people will have memories of, like what was Kirby for me, where it didn't take a lot of brain power. You just stood in the middle of the road. I mean, parents would just have can you imagine now, have kittens at the idea of, well, take your ball and go and play in the road and just chuck it against the curb for half an hour. But that's what we